Shrink the Nation is a podcast for thoughtful, informed adults, preferably with a pour in hand. The views and opinions expressed on the show are those of the hosts and guests only, and do not reflect the views of any employers, institutions, licensing boards, government agencies, bourbon distilleries, or family members, especially our family members. They've asked us to be very clear about that. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing said here should be taken as medical, psychiatric, legal, or professional advice. If you're in crisis, call a professional. If you're mad at something we said, we suggest journaling or emailing us with civility. We're here to challenge ideas, not diagnose strangers. We're clinicians, not your clinicians, and we have the bourbon to prove it. Let's go. All right, welcome back to Shrink the Nation, live from the Octagon of American Psychology. Rob and I have gone a few bloody rounds lately. Testosterone, Gen Z men, rage culture, the MAGA drift. We've thrown punches, taken punches, and honestly, we're both wobbling on the ropes. But here's the thing. It wasn't a fair fight because when it comes to talking about young men in politics, we were in there shadowboxing without a female perspective. And the truth is, that's like walking into the ring missing half your corner. So tonight, we brought in Allison. She's not here to spar with us. She's here to land the knockout. She's got the receipts, she's got the critiques, and she's got zero patience for two guys who thought they could cover the psychodynamics of masculinity without a woman in the room. Think of this as the final round. Rob and I are already bruised up. Now Allison gets to finish the job. But before we get started, I'm David. I've got my 20 plus in the military. I am a board certified psychiatrist. Today, I've got with me Angel's Envy. Hopefully, this will give me some level of protection. I'm guessing. Maybe, perhaps. It is sweet. So hopefully Allison will be to us, but we'll see what happens. And I'll just go with that. I'm crossing my fingers. So
I like how you paved the way. Hey, it's Rob, 30 years in the military and 25 in psychiatry. I am drinking my standby this evening, which is Jim Beam Black Label, a slightly rye bourbon, beautiful price point, and does the job nicely. Maybe I'm the masochist of the group, but I'm looking forward to getting punched in the face.
Hi, I'm Allison. I have almost 20 years as a psychiatrist with some additional psychotherapy training, and I'm drinking Trader Joe's sparkling water lemon. It's pretty good.
That's such a chick drink.
I know. We need something to keep the edge off, and Allison is trying to keep the edge. So are you ready? Allison, the bell just rang. What do we need to hear?
My first grievance is not even on the list. It's that the both of you used the word sweet. And that's something that is commonly used in evangelical culture to encourage women to not be loud, to be obedient. It's literally the title of this, what is it? Keep Sweet, the FLDS Netflix documentary about Warren Jeffs. So
Yes, and we would appreciate it if, as you come at us, if you would keep that in mind. Just like the Angel's Envy, which is finished in port barrels and is quite sweet.
Can we just simulate that? What's his name?
Warren Jeffs.
Warren Jeffs.
I was going to say that, but then I thought I had it wrong because that doesn't feel right. It's like
He
two
didn't
first
either.
name. Two first names always throw me off. I mean, it's always unsettling to me when someone has two first names. But yes, keep it sweet, Allison.
Possessive noun version of a first name too, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. No, you make a good point. I have no idea where I said sweet, and I apologize. I'm reminded of something. Years and years and years ago, I was in college, and I was acting as a tutor for a group of individuals who were accepted into medical school, but needed to do the preliminary courses. And I was tutoring them in organic chemistry and some biology. And I was in an environment where someone came in and looked at me and said, "What do you think of when you think black?" And I thought of Christmas trees because it was that time of year and I had just carried a Christmas tree in and all this black stuff fell on the floor. And what they were referencing, and it's a relevant thing that they were referencing, is that when we talk about black, we often think about evil or bad or darkness or whatever. The context that they came at me with was about race. But I was so caught off guard that I was like, vacuum cleaner. I said vacuum cleaner. And I was like a 21-year-old kid. So you are absolutely right. Terminology is certainly utilized in a context. I don't think it was the context David and I were talking about. But please keep going. Keep going at
How
us.
does it feel to be told that you're right and wrong at the same time? But it's okay for you to be right and wrong at the same time, Allison.
Yeah.
All right.
Round one, Rob.
I did for just being
Keep your gloves up, Allison. Keep your gloves up.
Yep. 10-9. 10-9, round one. Rob.
What I actually want to talk about today hopefully isn't combative at all and is a little bit more vulnerable. When you asked me to come be a guest on a podcast, I was really reluctant. David can tell you how many clarifying questions I asked, probably 15,000 at least.
I think what you said was, sure, when can I do it? End of list. I can't wait to be on your awesome podcast. I listen to it all the time. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Though I have some notes on your last few episodes.
I'm pretty sure
I
she
had
said
already
smash that subscribe button.
I had already smashed the like and subscribe. But the both of you know that existing as a woman just invites more criticism than existing as a man does. So even coming to talk today, Rob, your face is saying maybe, maybe not. Women's voices are criticized in ways that men's voices are not. Women's existing in public is criticized in a way that men's existing is not. Men are accepted as the default and women are the outlier. I was actually looking into this because I had been to see Fantastic Four and I was like, that's funny. 4 people, 3 men, 1 woman, which brings to mind Seinfeld and the airing of grievances. So that's 4 people.
A Festivus for the rest of us.
3 men and 1 woman. And I was like looking for examples. It's so funny. In the 90s, a poet wrote a piece, and I think the New York Times, she called it the Smurfette Principle. The only blue woman in the group of Smurfs. There's only 1 woman in an entirely male ensemble. So it establishes a male-dominated narrative where the woman is the exception and exists only in reference to the men. And I made a little list. So
wait, do we get to drink? Is there a quote in here anywhere?
I think anytime I do a feminist principle, you should drink.
We should drink.
Yes, okay. Perfect.
Yeah, that's
principle.
the
Drink.
new rule.
Yeah, that's it.
We're going to be smashed by the end of this.
Yeah.
Oh, wasted.
Yeah.
Literally, the movie I was watching, Fantastic Four. The rewatch I'm doing with my family, Psych. The core cast it's mainly 2 men, but the main 4-person cast is 3 men and 1 woman. Even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's like the 4 turtles and then April. Just a funny thing that once you notice, it's hard to unsee. That was my idea because you all had a 3-guy podcast about the alt-right drift of young men and almost entirely left out that men are half the population and that women are the other half of the population.
Well, we entirely left that out. My response to this is that we do take on topics that are pretty complex. We struggle getting through these topics in the time allotted. My good faith argument back is that we are cognizant of our maleness. The 3 of us are guys. And this would be the equivalent of chatting about the NBA draft during the Super Bowl. The topic was football. So we didn't talk about basketball. That was a limitation of what we were doing. We were talking very specifically about a set of symptoms. What I'm struck by, what stimulates me and what's fun about doing this podcast and engaging with other people is that perspective. That it's funny because I remember thinking back on my experiences when I was a kid when Smurfs were actually still a new thing. It was on TV.
When you were a kid or when you were in your 80s?
Yeah, I was with my great grandkids. No, I was a kid. And Smurfette was the only girl, no doubt, but she had unique power and she was uniquely wise and uniquely deferred to. So from my standpoint, she was much more powerful than the perspective that you just gave it. That
she was also the only Smurf that anybody can think of when you ask about the damn Smurfs, except for maybe Papa Smurf. Like, you can't think of another fucking Smurf. Like, you could think of 2 Smurfs. Papa Smurf and Smurfette.
Papa Smurf and Smurfette.
Name
That's
another
it.
one.
Grumpy.
Oh my gosh, you all. There was Brainy Smurf. Are you kidding?
I don't remember any of those.
Nah, I don't. Yeah.
I'm going to have to Google
Brady
it.
Smurf. You just made that up.
I'm going to have to confirm that.
She made that shit up.
The whole thing. I'm just making it all up.
We're going to get slant. People are going to be, there's no Brady Smurf. She made that up. Who is this? Who is this Allison character you brought in? What kind of Smurf expert is she? Stop Googling it. You can't Google it and then
I'm
tell us who the
Googling it
Smurfs
right
are.
now.
Stop Googling the Smurfs.
He
Don't
had
Google
glasses.
the Smurfs on our show.
Who was
Are you kidding?
who was the muscular Smurf? Was it Brawny? Brawny Smurf?
See what I'm? Yeah, but point. See exactly. You know exactly who Smurfette is.
I know. She has name recognition, whereas the rest of them did not.
I think the interesting thing about what you just described is that she has effectively been tokenized. She has been put on a pedestal. She has extra superpowers. She's very special. You have to treat her in a special kind of way. And I just think that just kind of further makes my point that
It does.
you only have one woman, and then there she is. She's got like more responsibility than the other Smurfs, with the exception of maybe Papa Smurf, who was running the show. Now, I did not watch any Papa Smurf or any Smurf to read on this.
No,
This is
you didn't, because
just
she was not put on a pedestal in that show. You need to watch the Smurfs. You do.
I will not.
You're coming
You've
out.
got to
Rob.
watch the Smurfs.
You got the Smurf expert here. Rob is just Smurf this, Smurf that all the time.
I actually watched the Smurfs, so I
have no
some
idea how
expertise
often,
here.
how
It's
often
been
I
40
have to
years.
cut out Smurf references on this show because Rob just
I
drops
realize.
the Smurf bomb, the S bombs constantly. He's just like Smurf
It
this,
is-
Smurf that.
It is truly fascinating to
embarrassing.
me. Well, it is fascinating to me, though, that these cultural touch points end up being made into a data point for a other point. I think that's a stretch. What we've just said, yes, it was a singular. I can't argue that. She was the only female Smurf. But if you had watched the Smurfs, what you're describing was not the Smurfs, was not how she was placed in that show. She was particularly wise. She called them out on their bullshit. That was her role.
On their bull Smurf.
On their bull Smurf. The rest of what you're describing was not exactly the nature of what it was on the Smurfs.
It just
Yeah, so
wasn't the
the-
Smurfing point.
It wasn't
Yeah.
the Smurfing point.
So the Smurfing point of that is that there was only her. Like that.
It was.
That's the whole.
truth.
That it
Yes.
was just her. And that's the point in all of this. I would imagine it didn't even stick out as weird to you that there was just one, because that's how the culture
was weird.
sees. Okay.
No, it was weird. It was a thing we talked about.
Yeah. So
It did
is
make you
just
wonder where all the other Smurfs came from.
Exactly.
it is also just how things are. So now that you have noticed that, now sometimes things get wild. So
How many queens
Brooklyn-
are there in a ant colony?
And so like shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine will have like 2 women or 3 women, and it actually sticks out as unusual. That is the backdrop to what I just wanted to talk about, which is that in discussing these alt-right men, we left out what they want and what they are trying to do to the people that they would like to have either stay oppressed or to be newly oppressed, to keep down. If we were just talking about alt-right, we've got to look at what they want, because if we are indeed shrinking the nation, what they want is really important, and that's to keep women and people of color and minorities, immigrants down. Either to put them back there or to keep them there. Are you ready to drink? My next point is about the patriarchy.
Well,
Go ahead.
before we get to the patriarchy, let's reel back just a touch. I can only speak for myself. When I thought about doing that episode, what I was thinking more along the lines of addiction medicine. The symptoms of addiction are really quite distasteful very often. And I'm not talking about the DSM symptoms, increased use, withdrawal, craving. I'm talking about sort of the behaviors associated with addiction. They're really very, very distasteful. It's really easy to disregard them as bad behavior. In doing it that way, you kind of miss the illness. The illness that is existing deserves treatment. When we discussed engaging in this podcast and what we wanted to accomplish was really looking at the psychodynamics of a nation through the context of the individual experience. And for this, what struck me as such a relevant thing is that there's this huge swath of our population, these young men who are drifting to identify with Republican politics. I don't care which side they're drifting to. That doesn't necessarily stimulate me as much. You can be whatever you want to be, and you can vote for whoever you want to vote. What I found interesting was that there's this huge swath of folks that are being drawn to a certain direction that belies an underlying problem. And it wasn't that I necessarily felt that the behaviors were okay, but I felt like that's a symptom, this bigger society illness that deserves some attention. I did not think about Smurfette, though, and that might have been my error.
The discussion was about the fact that it was happening and
Yeah.
why it was happening, not a discussion of what was happening at the individual level. I do think that's a point that we missed. The first episode we did not talk about was here are the behaviors associated with it, and this is why they're bad. We came back around when we got some critique, but we still didn't talk about how this affects the population, especially the targets of the behavior. I think that was a huge miss on our part. Our aim was to talk about this is the thing that is happening, not who it's happening to or anything else, which is what we should talk about now. And I'm glad that we have you here to talk about it. But
Me too.
that's why we didn't. I don't know that it's the best we just didn't.
And past stupid doesn't stop me from being future smart. So
No, you said
please.
something like, I apologize. Now I'm going to double down.
I like to double down on stupid.
Not a great way to approach any apology.
No.
I do think that is, we keep missing the thing I am trying to say, which is that it's really easy to say, I don't care which way they vote. I personally have had my rights impacted by this alt-right shift. I imagine the two of you have as well, but I directly have. My right to access healthcare that I need has absolutely been impacted. The right of my family to access healthcare that's needed has absolutely been impacted. And when we try to talk about the phenomenon without recognizing that, I think that's why you're getting the pushback that you have, is that it's tied together, that this group of people desperately want to maintain power. And to bring it back to like a psychotherapy principle, we know that when an abused person is leaving an abusive relationship, so right as they finally kind of seek to reclaim their power to leave an abusive relationship, that is when the risk of violence is highest. So this is why men can't visit domestic violence shelters. So the violence escalates. I do think that the alt-right movement is that violence escalating as women access more society, careers, achievement, when people of color have protections built into the law to not be discriminated against. I think as women and people of color reach essentially escape velocity, that's when the violence happens. And I think that's what we saw happen in the Reconstruction period after the Civil War, where people who were previously enslaved were free and were elected to Congress, had like national positions, so much so that, the 1898 North Carolina legislature was the only successful coup in American history. White supremacist coup overthrew the government. So I think that's what we're seeing. So there are reflections in the past when people are able to have more rights, more money, more freedom. We see this kind of violent response. So that's point one of my list of grievances. All right. So to wrap up on my first grievance is that we know that certain groups of people, when push comes to shove, are more likely to want to enforce the status quo, which is patriarchy.
Yes.
So this is a drink because I have mentioned patriarchy.
Drink?
Well, Allison just created a drinking game. Every time she mentions the patriarchy, everyone in the audience should drink. Now, I assume you're drinking coffee or water, maybe a Testo Rage Max, something like that, but drink. All right, patriarchy, drink. Go, Allison.
Drink.
I thought it was whenever she espoused a feministic principle, we were supposed to drink.
Yes, that too. Same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing. Let's go ahead and define patriarchy real quick. It's the social system in which positions of authority are primarily held by men. So we have heard a lot of, you can't say anything these days. Oh, you're not allowed to do that anymore. In fact, you are. There was a time a little while back when there were more men named John that were CEOs of Fortune 500 companies than women. It was hilarious. There's like
Been women named John?
Than women, period. But yes, also more than women named John.
Not a lot of women named John.
Not enough Johns in the female category.
Yeah, we should absolutely reclaim that. My next one, I'm going to name her John.
You should do that.
I'll get right on it.
Did we learn anything from Robin Hood Men in Tights about the word John?
David's really good at like very obscure references.
You don't remember
I've
this
even seen
reference?
the movie. I don't remember that.
It was Patrick Stewart.
David Chappelle's first movie.
He said, all the toilets in the kingdom will henceforth be known as John's.
John's.
Hey, it's Rob from Shrink the Nation. As my friend David so eloquently states at the beginning of the show, we are clinicians, but we're not your clinician. We love to joke around and dive into the tough topics, but there's something really important we need to say. If you're struggling with your mental health or facing substance use issues, we want you to know you're not alone. We have dedicated our professional careers to mental health, and we care deeply about it. It's okay to ask for help. Reaching out to a professional in your area could be the first step toward feeling better. Don't wait. There's support out there, and it works. Please take that first step. We want you to be well. Now let's get back to the show. Oh, and don't tell David I said he was eloquent. He'll be insufferable.
Okay, so my next grievance is that the podcast tends to talk about evolutionary biology quite a bit in ways that can make how people act differently, can make it sound like predestination, that somebody is destined to act or behave a certain way. But I think it's socialization as well. So especially with gender roles and especially gender inequity are parts of the patriarchy that seek to maintain control over women. So those ideas that men act a certain way and women act another way because of biology, it's partly true, but our society also very strongly reinforces girls acting a certain way and boys acting another way. Especially if you've spent time around anybody who's gender nonconforming, you see exactly how gendered society is and how those stereotypes or expectations are started very young. From the little baby clothes that are like a future lady killer for little boys, and for little girls, it's just like the most disgusting sexualized clothes.
I have a future lady killer shirt on right now. I don't know why you would just steal that from me. It's not a onesie.
And the funny thing is to the audience is that David is not a future lady killer.
No, I'm not even a past lady killer.
You know, Allison, that's actually a really astute observation. And I fear
we're going to talk about it at our man patriarchy meeting tonight. We're going to solve this.
Well,
I mean, secret.
Are you bringing the goat to the patriarchy meeting later? Because
Yes.
we need a goat. I have been deeply impacted by the works of Robert Wright, who wrote a book back in 94 called The Moral Animal. And it is a reflection on biological or evolutionary psychology. And it has had a deep impact on me and how I see the world. I am also very, very aware that our brain is an overlay, that there may be a genetic tendency, but we have this overlay of sentience, and we are humans, and we get to make choices, and our impulses should not rule us. That is kind of the essential thing about being a human, that we're not ruled by our impulses. We get to assess them. And most of what we do as psychiatrists is really that interface, that there's this ancient brain that we have that is anxiety and fear and anger and emotion. And then we have this overlay that is reason and thought. We talked in the propaganda episode about fast emotional thinking and slow rational thinking. Thank you for being here. The thing I love about doing this is just having smart people bring up smart things that we can talk about, but we're talking about a nation. And this is probably a preconception of mine that on the national level, we're dealing with a more fast emotional thinking, a more biologic thinking, that our propaganda is more geared toward fast emotional thinking. That's what drives us as a nation, but it does not absolve us on the individual level of being thoughtful humans. We got a frontal cortex for a reason. We should think it through. Is not something that when you do the averages, what ends up driving our politics is something different. So you are absolutely right. I do have a bias, not on the individual level, but when it comes to this show and when it comes to me thinking of the nation, I have a bias toward evolutionary psychology. You're absolutely correct. And that's a struggle. I am talking to two clinical psychiatrists, two people who spend a lot of time with patients. But how much of your time, your engagement with patients ends up being about that distinction between this innate, fast emotional thinking brain and us trying to get them to think more in terms of the slow, rational thinking? Allison, please tell me your clinical experiences in that realm. Help me feel less bad about myself right now.
I do think with my patients, I spend a pretty good amount of time talking about temperament, essentially. And I do think that people are born certain ways, absolutely more anxious. Sometimes when you meet the family, you're like, oh, this is absolutely something that's been passed down either genetically or socially. It's really interesting to see what parts are factory settings and which parts have been modified by environment.
And I love that terminology, the factory setting. The factory setting is a thing, and then we take it home and we adapt it to our life. And there is a struggle sometimes in that resetting of the factory settings, which sounds redundant to me.
Not resetting, but changing the factory settings.
Changing. Yeah, making it work. And that was the thing that in the episode that pissed Allison off.
Which one? You need to be more specific.
Yeah, which one thing was I mad about?
Which episode?
Right. Well, it does occur to me that it feels like maybe she's been angry from us way back. And
That's why she keeps listening.
yeah, it wasn't these episodes. She was pissed off way
Years
back.
prior to this, yeah. We've just given her a platform.
In these episodes, I personally was talking about a factory setting. I was not necessarily saying as it is with us. If you buy an Apple product, the factory settings doesn't necessarily work in your house. And the factory settings that I was referencing for these young men doesn't necessarily work in this culture. I'm not saying that the culture is wrong at all. In fact, and I think we hopefully, if we didn't, it is such a deep failure on our part. But the move toward equity is critical. A future episode that we're going to do is on America's Shadow, which is we're the land of equality that has not provided equality. For these young men, you're talking about an end state or an easy solution, which is do away with equality. And let's put women back into a position in which they are powerless. Let's put minorities back into a position in which they are powerless. However, this shift is happening among minorities as well. That is happening in African American communities. It's happening in Hispanic communities. So there is something happening, even though, yes, that's the stupid solution. That's the dumb solution. That's the easy one. Let's push everyone back to a point of inequality, and then they can feel powerful again. What my hope was with that episode was largely about talking about the dynamic and how do we help men at this moment move forward and engage in relationships and live a life in which they can feel engaged and powerful. And that power is not power over people, but power to affect people. a power to engage with their family members and their spouses and be there and make a difference.
I want to build off the factory setting analogy real quick. The way that I was trying to approach it was not that where they're headed was factory settings, was default settings, but rather them wanting to change their factory settings and being approached with how-to guides on these extreme adjustments. As these young men are searching the web for how-to guides, you have two political groups, one pushing them away saying, we're not interested in helping you adjust your factory settings. You can go to hell. And another group saying, here, buddy, I got the exact settings you need, and showing them exactly what to do. Here, do this. Like, these are the settings you want. That's the point that I was trying to make, is that these are not factory settings, and that in order to help society, one, we want to figure out better how-to guides for those who are still in their factory mode. So as they're adjusting their settings, as we all try to throughout our life, we're not adjusting in that way. And then to call out the people writing the how-to guide that is ending up in this way, and call out the sides that are saying, we're not interested in helping you at all because you have this one setting naturally that we don't like. We have no interest in helping you readjust your settings. That was my point. It didn't come across as well as I would have liked it to, but it's actually my stance for everyone that, yeah, we have our default settings, but we all have the ability to change them if we're willing to. And it is our responsibility on the individual level to adjust accordingly, be empathic enough to keep adjusting throughout life. And you can throughout life to say, is this working for the people around me, for the relationships that I want? Am I able to have relationships, which turns out 65% of them aren't because of the new settings that they have. And so that's not working for them. But what they're being told by their how-to guide is, don't worry, champ, these settings are working great. The issue that you're having with these settings and not having relationships is that everyone else's settings are fucked up. Yeah, it's the chick settings. Their settings are messed up. All you got to do is exert more, is just twist this dial, get that setting a little bit more tuned.
If Allison was more agreeable, everything would be fine.
That's right. If she would just acknowledge the fact that how wonderful. But you see, that's my stance, is we can all change if we try.
One of the things I think the both of you are inadvertently maybe missing or echoing or emphasizing in a way that's, really annoying, is that women get this message constantly. Women get this message, oh my gosh, he's just having a hard time. Maybe just be more empathic. He's just, he works so hard for you. So that message, so it might just be that I'm not your audience. I have been encouraged my entire life to be empathic and understanding to men and boys who are having a hard time.
Who said to be empathic and understanding to him, though? What I said. I didn't say to be empathic and understanding.
I'm also referencing the previous podcasts.
Yeah.
That we were encouraged to meet in the middle where the compromise happened. That was a big point that I nearly passed out from rage. Not the testo. I passed out from estrogen rage, negative max.
Let's make it clear. She didn't pass out from the testo rage drink.
No, that actually gave her
that is safe
the
to
energy.
drink. Keep drinking it. Keep drinking Testo Rage.
In spite of what the FDA or so-called
let's
labs
make that clear.
Say about kidney function, the Testo Rage Max
so-called
is good to
science.
Go. G2G. Yeah. If
Allison,
you can trust all the science
keep
out there.
talking about that. Say more about that for me.
More about my estro rage, Max?
No. Yes, your estro rage. No, I think you just nailed something. I mean, absolutely nailed it. I felt it in my core. So you keep talking about that what we were doing, even though what you're talking about is the fact that it was three dudes. It was a sausage party talking about, I think, we were talking about a relevant topic, but what we were missing was the empathy that you just brought to this. Please keep.
Wait, can I point out the irony of Rob mansplaining Allison's point to Allison?
No. I want more.
Got it. Good.
I want more.
Good job, buddy. You understood.
Yeah.
Have you heard the joke?
I want more. I want more of that.
So there's like a bunch of jokey ways that you can deal with mansplaining, and one of them is to respond to the person who is mansplaining to you like they're a toddler and they're finally understood something. Like, good job, buddy, you finally got it. I'm so proud of you. You're doing such a good job. So yes, men, sure, you all can go off and have your goat sacrifice male bonding experiences where you empower each other and you make each other feel good and heard. Absolutely, we do need more male friendships. Women have been expected to be the emotional Kleenex for men forever. Men have been expecting women to do this emotional work for them. And when women are opting out of doing that emotional regulation that like maybe a mother would teach her child to do, when she is no longer doing that for the men, or when like maybe his mom's not doing that for him anymore, then he's left with all of these feelings and doesn't know what to do with them. So yeah, sure, men, you can go out and do this for each other. I'm done doing that emotional work for men. And I certainly will not compromise or meet in the middle with someone who is actively legislating my rights to be taken away, who thinks that I should not have the right to vote. Now, women have only been able to vote since 1964. All women, I should say. It's so recent, 1964, which was long after Rob was born. Thousands of years after Rob was born.
Yeah.
I absolutely concur. I'm just clarifying history here because I'm not a historian, as the Haitians will tell you, but 1920 was women's suffrage.
No, she said all women. She was referring to women of color as well. Or collar, women of color.
Yeah, collar. We've got to speak Appalachian so he understands
Appalachian.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for adjusting to the Appalachian accent.
Maybe we should have poured up some Cosmos before this, so we could have all been on the same.
In preparation for this, I've been reading Cosmo all day long.
Are your nipples sensitive?
Well, I've found that I'm not doing enough contouring with my makeup.
I disagree.
It's an important element of the makeup experience. What you are saying resonates with me deeply, that experience of being mothered and the magic and mystery of the feminine that is so critical to existence. And so is masculinity, by the way. There is a necessary component of it. And I'm not going to define it. I mean, I think the audience can probably throw it into their own categories. But what Allison described was this lovely experience of being mothered. And fathers don't provide that. And under a perfect circumstance, we're getting mothered and we're getting fathered. And what my fear is, I guess, at this particular moment, or actually maybe historically, we have failed to be fathered. That society has failed to be fathered. Or, more to the point, we, men, have failed to father. And I've said over and over again, we got to be the worst generation of parents ever. We really probably are the worst. I blame my parents because we always can. What this generation is lacking deeply, this male generation, is that experience. And then it's not enough to go through your life expecting that every woman's going to do this for you. You got to incorporate it into your own life. You got to do it for yourself. It is so absolutely critical to a healthy adult perspective is that you have what you've just described, time immemorial, the lack of it, the lack of men incorporating being mothered and not requiring it in their adult life. Do they still want to be mothered? They still want to be told, you're good, and I'm going to meet you in the middle. All the things that women do for our society and for us.
I would say that healthy people do for each other. So a healthy person, and not even mothering and fathering, just being a good parent. Dads can also be kind, warm, and affectionate.
Wait, what? Hold on.
I know, David.
Shit. Uh-oh.
First stop with the time machine is...
Yeah.
I
crap.
don't have time to do those things between beating and shaming
Yeah.
my children into being
How
tougher.
can I sit in the garage and
just-
drink and parent my children?
Allison, the
I know.
expectations you're leveling upon us is just too much.
Can I tell you, I used to teach a class where we talked about gender expectations, and my co-facilitator, when I told him that I'm also the person who's the primary parent in my house, and my kids would tell you the same thing. I'm the one they go to if something happens. I'm the one that my kids come to. So I'm the primary person at home. And he was like, but you are working. You have a full-time job. And I was like, I know I do. And I'm still the primary parent at home. The division of labor still with women who are bread earners is that they still are the primary parents. They are doing more of the housework. Women are doing all of this extra work. Then we have men who are being sucked down the alt-right pipeline because they cannot, I guess, step up. So I would love to promote your all's ropes course that you're going to do to get these men to talk about their feelings and
That's what we said.
to just exist as a human being.
We said we need more mentors. Actually, we're going to get it on air, David. Allison has to agree to come do the Girl Boss Burnout
Yes.
episode with us.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, I will. And
All right.
So
all right. To our tens of listeners, we have Allison's ironclad
Commitment.
agreement to do this. Yeah,
no,
right?
so you know,
I mean, it's
the girl-
contractual at this point, right?
That's right.
for all $0 of my Testo Rage Max
Yes.
residuals
Hey.
that I'm getting.
Yes.
You're
all of it.
you're in it now. The
Yeah,
Testo
you're
Rage
doing it.
Max residuals are coming to you. So, you know,
It might
We're
spoil
talking
that
pennies.
episode. I'm so stoked for this. There's an author, Moira Donegan. She writes for a bunch of different, what are they called now? Journalism websites, newspapers, or columns. And she talks about that the trad wife is a direct response to girl boss. You do the one and then you burn out and then you're a trad wife.
Yep.
Anyway, it's super interesting.
lean in, girls, because I think that would actually end up fixing the men. So why don't you
Yeah,
just lean in, fix the
just do
guys, and we're good. We're good.
Yeah, just do it harder.
Let's do it
Okay. So, yeah, just do it. Keep doing all of the things you're doing
harder. Clearly, you're looking at your third complaint.
Keep the grievances coming.
Holy
Okay. I think this is really my last one.
That's it?
I'm so
All right.
glad because I think of myself as being very open, and the fact that I've made this many errors, I am distressed.
Typical man.
This next one, I will just read you my notes. My next complaint is that Rob very quickly discarded the idea of emerging womanhood as something even worthy of consideration. I think you used the ability to procreate. If that's the measure, then boys have the same measure. When they can produce sperm, then they should therefore be men. So, like, the ability to procreate, if we're using that measure. You also talked about an experience that made you a man, like a community experience where you would go out and slay an animal. If we use the bear as that animal, I will draw your attention to the man versus bear debate that took place. I think it was the spring of last year. If you are unfamiliar with this, was women answered the question. So if they were like out hiking in the woods alone, who they'd rather run across, a man or a bear. And every video I saw, it might just be my man-hating
bear.
algorithm, it was a bear, because a bear isn't going to rape you and then kill you.
Yeah.
A bear won't torture you and then
It'll
kill
just
you.
kill you. Yeah.
It'll just kill you. That might be the definition of what becoming a woman means. Being whistled at as you walk down the street and you're 12 years old, how to navigate adult
Yeah.
men who are sexually interested in you, how to
Yeah.
navigate just walking through the grocery store. That might be the community experience of becoming a woman, is how to manage male attention, feelings, and how to let them down so that they don't kill you or hurt you.
Yeah. As a person who loves some women.
Say it creepier, Rob. Say it.
Yeah. That I couldn't.
Dr. Love here. This next tune is from a man who loves some women.
Some specific women that gets me in my belly. That resonates with me deeply. What I was talking about in my defense is the sense of manliness and womanliness and cultural sense of this. What is lacking, I was talking very much on the individual level at their sense of these things. And what is lacking is two things. One is I'm not a woman. So the sense of womanliness is not so simple, and it does evolve and grow and is complex, but culture as a whole, and this is not me doing psychotherapy with an individual. This is culturally that people rarely question someone's womanliness, frequently question a man's manliness. But what you have just described is visceral to me. It hits me in the belly. I 100% didn't consider the experience of women.
I disagree with what you just said. I do think that people question women's womanliness. There are women whose womanliness gets questioned often. So I don't think you definitely can't generalize that. I mean, I do think men's manliness gets questioned, but I think women's womanliness gets questioned. I do think that happens.
David's in and out.
I think we're just going to have to trust that he said something super smart that I agreed with, because that's how he was going. Because as a human woman who, not so much anymore, but like femininity is absolutely policed, I would imagine pretty similarly to masculinity, that you can't be too loud. You can't be too much. So like all of those things that how men and boys are policed, girls and women are also policed. And anybody who's just even a little gender nonconforming, absolutely. Now, especially now, the scrutiny is just really intense.
Yeah.
Women leaders are especially scrutinized. Are they feminine enough? If they interrupt too much, they're too masculine, they're a bitch. So all of those things, if you don't embody the ideal, if you're an outlier, it's really difficult. The whole thing that Kamala is a man and that Michelle Obama is a man, like there's some intersectionality. Drink, third wave feminist ideology incoming.
It's patriarchy. Say patriarchy and then we'll drink.
It is patriarchy, and it's intersectional, meaning that they are women and Black. So therefore they have the expectations there, and the things that are stacked up against them are even more complicated.
I'm in complete concurrence. I guess I'm thinking in terms of a lack of nuance, and I'm thinking on the tribal level, small tribe level. We are built for this small tribe existence, and we find ourselves in a very much more complex existence. And in that small tribe existence, in-group versus out-group, male versus female is much more simplistic. Now, I'm not ignorant of the fact that we exist in a bigger picture, but that's what led me to talk about that. But I concur with absolutely everything you said. So I am 100% in agreement with what you've said. And I think David Internet came back to us.
Yes, I agree with everything that you said, all that I heard.
God, that's boring as shit. Just disagree. I mean, it's bad podcasting. It's just bad podcasting. I can't agree and you agree. That just sucks.
Okay. I think that women's womanliness does get called into question. I think the dismissal of it on our episode was ridiculous.
No, I disagree on that.
But also, I think that the episode wasn't about that. It was a ridiculous statement to make, because it was a ridiculous statement.
No, it's not a ridiculous statement.
It is absolutely
backed up.
No,
it's
a
backed
ridiculous
up by
statement.
a lot of science.
Not everyone develops the same way. So that's not a litmus test and simply not true. But the episode wasn't about that. Allison is valid to be upset, of course, because she was absolutely right.
Allison, don't do it.
But she was absolutely valid to be upset.
No.
But she was also missing the point of the rest of the episode. Through her seething rage, she missed the point of the rest of the episode.
Well,
which was
all right.
That you were trying to give excuses to all these young men for being
Allison can't be encouraged, because if she is encouraged,
she'll come back.
It makes me question my patriarchy. And God damn it, if you make me question my patriarchy, I am not going to sleep tonight. and I want to sleep.
Don't worry, we'll resolve it at the meeting.
Later, did you get the goat? Is a goat going to be there?
We have a goat. It's alive.
All right.
It's alive.
All right. Allison, you keep going then, because we're good, because we've got a meeting later.
Okay, I'll just keep talking then. So the other thing that was just kind of
Wait. You said 3 things, and now you're at the 4th
this is under
thing.
third point.
Okay.
Subpoint.
Yeah, so this is subpoint
Robin.
3B. Also, I know we weren't specifically talking about the male loneliness epidemic, but did you know that there's only a 1% difference in male loneliness and female loneliness? With all of the headlines that I saw after I looked into it, I was like, are you kidding me? So it's something like 15 or 16%.
Wait a minute. So we didn't bring up something we weren't talking about? Holy shit.
Wait.
It is the male loneliness epidemic, because that is connected with this idea that people are so lonely that they're getting drawn down into the alt-right pipeline.
Yeah,
you're
because
talking
they
about
can't
it.
get
So
with women.
Inform us.
No, this is...
Enlighten us.
Wait.
I think I said it pretty clearly. They're behaving really badly. Nobody wants to fuck them. That's what I said. You can't blame them. If you're going to be an asshole, nobody's going to want to fuck you.
Well, that's historic. I think we're at a point where, that is, historic's not the right word. That is so ingrained in us as a culture that, yeah, of course, if you are distasteful, no one wants to be with you. But Allison, please help me on this one, because what you just said. So here's the statistics that I know. 65% of males in the 18 to 28-year-old range are not in a relationship. And the corollary to that is that women in that age group are in relationships at a normal percentage. What you're talking about
is loneliness.
Yeah, have you not seen?
No, but the loneliness correlation actually seems to have a lot more to do with the social media. And actually, we did talk about that on our shamelessness episode, but
touched on it.
We did touch on it. The loneliness is rising heavily in that population, but it has a lot to do with the disconnect that people have because they're so attached to social media, and the connections that they're trying to have just aren't real connections. And that when they go and they overshare on the internet, but they have no reciprocity emotionally, no real empathy coming back at them, they feel more lonely in spite of the fact we're more connected. The loneliness factor is going up. Now, is that directly related to this, the Testo Rage Max? No, it's a wonderful drink that really helps you connect if you're in the same room as somebody.
Yeah, purchase it at all the places you purchase your fine energy drinks and steroids. Allison.
I think what I was thinking about is how much the media is focusing on this male loneliness epidemic. There's so many headlines about it. And you couple that with their not being able or like wanting, I don't know, to have a relationship. It's, yeah, I don't know. I don't like, so do 65% of these boys, like, or men, I guess, want someone? Or are they just kind of happy dating their AI? Okay, they're just happy dating their AI chatbots?
Well, I don't know that we can...
No, I don't think they're happy doing it. They may be doing it.
Yeah, I don't know that we're in the heads of every last one of them. I think the implication would be that at the rate of the general public, they want to be in relationships, but are not. But their female counterparts are in relationships at normal rates. And so there's something that they're doing that is making them, and I'm going to use the scientific term here, purely scientific, unfuckable.
Right. That's in the DSM-6, actually.
It is, yeah. The ICD-10 code is FU.
That's the curiosity to me, is that this does not imply anything other than 65% of men in this zone are not in a relationship. I personally think that's a problem, because not being in a relationship means not being exposed to the feminine, not being exposed to the feminine perspective, the feminine experience. It allows them to drift into these internet bubbles in which it is the incels, it is the whatever, insert thing. But when you look at women 18 to 28, that statistic is radically different. A majority of them are actually in relationships with older people who I guess are figuring this out, or they're in relationship with children. So we have an epidemic of
Pedophilic women.
pedophilia or
Rob, you have completely forgotten that LGBTQ plus people exist. They're just dating each other.
We will not be
No.
lectured by a bunch of perverts.
right. No, I have not. I have not. This is talking about relationships. This is not
Yeah,
who
it's
you're
not
in a
talking about
relationship
man and woman.
with.
It's talking about relationships.
Yeah, this is who you're in a relationship with.
That's why I'm saying that the women are dating each other.
Huh?
Well, not all of them, but some of them, certainly. Yeah, no, of course they are. Some of
No.
them, but some of the men could be dating each other and they're not. And so
Yeah.
is it that 35% of the 18 to 28-year-old males are just dating other 18 to 28-year-old males? Maybe, but
No, Allison brings up actually a relevant point, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Why are you
because
giving this
is,
to her, man?
again, No, this is
we had her at perverts.
Well, Allison is advocating for perverts, clearly. No, she is not. What Allison is discussing, and this is something, again, from our perspective, and this is the limitations of perspective of three guys who end up heteros.
Whoa,
Already
Freudian.
Yeah. Freudian slip. Heterosexual guys who are discussing topics. The statistics say 60 whatever percent of 18 to 28-year-olds are not in a relationship. That is not connected to who they're in a relationship with. It's not saying, it's not pulling homosexuals out of that statistic. That is just the statistic. That age group. And then when you compare it to women of that age, and that's irrespective of their sexuality, it is radically different. A majority of women in that age group, regardless of their sexuality, is in a relationship. That's what we were talking about.
I'm saying all the women are just dating each other.
Well, and we don't, yeah.
No. That defies statistics.
I don't know that you could
Allison,
say that, but
I just laid it out really clearly. I'm saying no relationships versus some relationships. It does not say who.
is it fair to say that being in adult relationships is a part of developing that sense of being a man, that sense of being a woman? Successfully navigating adult relationships is part of that growing up, finding that sense of self. And that's a huge lack for that group.
At the risk of being too verbose.
Yes, that's stopped you before.
Yeah, it never does. Because many years ago, I got a review from a resident. I gave a lecture, and they said I was too loquacious. And I looked at that, and I was like, I'm fucking on point, right? Look at
Shit,
me.
was that me? I love using that word.
And then I had to look the word up, and
Loquacious?
And
Chatty.
It turned out, I was too wordy. But here's my take on this: is that in the modern world we prioritize masculine, and women can be successful in that world. And I realize Allison's going to have a different perspective on this and all the problems and challenges that come with being it. But you can be successful and you can be reasonably psychologically even healthy as a woman in this world. Men, on the other hand, have always required the feminine, that we have a lack of ability to engage in our own personal femininity. If you look at Jung's perspective on this, the animus, the anima, which is basically the yin and yang. Men can't do it. Women can to an extent, but neither one of us are doing it well. And
Say that women have to, or they die. Men die too, obviously, but like it's
they do.
immediate survival that women have to navigate this. Girls and women have to learn to navigate this. And boys and men don't seem to. So then they're left later in life kind of fumbling around, like, how do I talk to, and like girls and women had to do it.
I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm
Seems to be
totally with
optional
you.
for
No,
men.
I'm totally with you. And the issue that I'm having is that it's a grand scheme issue. It's a big picture issue that the satisfaction, the contentment is lacking on both sides, that men are lacking the necessary femininity to be a fully realized man, and women are lacking that as well to be really fully realized. And we're seeing dissatisfaction on both sides. It's not as much of a battle as we feel it is. It's not us versus them. It is not an Allison versus David, because I'm clearly in the middle. I am clearly the voice of reason. I mean, clearly.
Yes, you've shown yourself to be the middle
But
of this discussion.
the sense of human satisfaction requires both. And we're just not seeing it. We're just not.
And Rob, that is why patriarchy hurts everyone.
Drink.
That is why. Because
Drink.
drink. Because men are punished if they are crying or tearful, if they express any emotion other than anger. It's more likely to be punished.
You're making
that's
me
patriarchy.
angry right now.
Have we successfully aired the grievances?
Right now, I'm
Does
angry.
this conclude Festivus?
I'm ready for prescriptions.
I'm looking at your face and I'm just pissed.
All right, let's get to prescriptions. It's prescription time.
Allison, I think you should go first. Give us a prescription.
Cute.
How do we fix this?
I think I should.
Be ridiculous first.
I would like all young men to read the book Know My Name by Chanel Miller. Chanel Miller wrote a very widely acclaimed book about her sexual assault at the hands of sexual assaulter Brock Turner, who most of the media coverage was about his very light sentence and that he was a swimmer for an impressive college. She wrote a book about her experience called Know My Name that I think everyone should read. She has the most beautiful writing. If you get the audiobook, she is the narrator and it's beautiful. It's difficult, and I think everyone should read it.
That young man couldn't eat steak.
Exactly. His dad famously wrote a letter to the judge that said that poor Brock, an adult man, was just so upset about it that he could not enjoy his steak dinner anymore at his favorite restaurant.
Sad story. You put one girl on camera, and all of a sudden, you're some sort of monster.
Yeah, that's actually how it goes.
What is this world turning into?
That is so profoundly emotionally impactful. There's no. Allison has destroyed humor. Thank you, Allison.
He also said, no, you have to laugh about it because this man sat down to write a letter and said, this is going to do it. This is going to get my boy. And it worked.
Yeah.
He also said, why should my boy, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. Why should my son be punished harshly? Because it was only 20 minutes of action. There was some quote like that I can't remember right now.
Right.
But it was also disgusting.
That's
and
a humble
hilarious.
brag, right?
If you read the book, you'll know that he was not able to her with anything other than his fingers. And sexually assault. What I think the actual charge was.
Yeah.
You can't enjoy steak. I mean, isn't that punishment enough, you know?
Yeah. Allison being a guest host may not realize that killing humor really fucks us up. And she killed humor. This young woman was assaulted and there's nothing funny about it. Nothing. Zero. All right. Thanks, Allison. Do you have any more?
You asked me for empathy.
No. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, there's my empathy.
I think all of us would benefit from reading something like that and empathizing with it. What does it feel like to have your agency stolen, your control of your own body stolen from you? And if you can tolerate that, if you can tolerate the experience of that, even imagining what it is, this is what this young woman went through. And many women go through. David, do something ridiculous and funny at this point. Come on, David.
I can't do anything ridiculous and funny. It's that...
No, you can do it. You can do it.
What happens in those situations is unimaginably tragic. It's a violation of beyond what most of us could possibly imagine. And unfortunately, I think everyone could theoretically experience it in some way. What I think is important is that that person decide for themselves their healing path. For her to write a book to express what happened and to give her perspective of it and say, this is what happened to me. And I haven't read the book and I need to, and maybe get my takeaways from it.
I also think that this experience that's just so much a part of life for so many women to have such an impact on you guys, which is really sweet. She also wrote a middle grade book about like a kid's book. It's really good too. Magnolia Wu Unfolds It All. That one's really good. If you're not ready for a super intense read.
I mean, I can handle it after our meeting tonight.
God damn it. I'm at the end of this challenging emotional experience.
Here's also an option. We could change my prescription to talk to a woman. Literally just like talk to a woman.
Like
Maybe
a back
we
and
could
forth
do it like
conversation or talk at a woman?
yeah, sorry. Listen to a woman.
Wait. We just talked at a
Listen to
woman.
one woman.
We just talked at a woman for an hour.
Listen to one woman. Maybe I should have like a stepwise. Step 1, maybe just listen to one woman. Step 2
All
would
right.
be maybe Magnolia Wu unfolds it all. And then step 3, the advanced course would be
If there's a lesson learned is never let Allison lead on prescriptions.
that's probably true.
Just give your silly prescription. I'll put it first.
No, just don't let Allison lead. I don't even have a silly prescription. I do have a life experience. I just Googled it, YouTubed it, tried to find it, and I can't find it. And I can't tell you when it happened. I don't know if it happened early in my military career or early in my medical school career. There's a YouTube video out there of a cop giving a perspective of how he was sexually assaulted in a way that, as a police officer, in which they were trying to just purely humiliate him and he had no choice. It has always resonated with me, this sense of lack of agency. You have no choice, no power, no control. If you can find that, my prescription is listen to it. It changed my life personally, it changed my perspective, how I interact with every single patient. I went from a stance of not being a potential victim to every individual I see is a potential victim. So that would be my primary prescription. My secondary prescription, if I was just trying to make people feel better, is don't engage with Allison ever. Just don't do it. She makes you feel bad. And having known her for quite some time at this point, she made me feel bad for, I don't know, the better part of what? Allison, what is it? At
It's
least
been
17
like
years?
17 years.
Yeah, at least 17 years I've felt bad. And
There you go. That's a
before-
glowing recommendation for a psychiatrist.
Yeah, before Allison, I felt pretty good about myself. After Allison, not so much so.
So my prescription is
Holy shit, I thought you already had a...
that wasn't a prescription. I was just talking about, yeah. Here, my prescription would be for all the men 18 to 28. Before they can post anything on the internet, anything at all, it has to be read and approved by the oldest living female relative in their family.
This is just more work for women. I hate it.
That's my prescription. If that's the only way to get them to learn, you know why? Because if they had done their job in the first 18 years, they wouldn't have to be doing it the next 10. All right, Allison?
Wait,
Allison.
wait.
If
We're
Mima,
talking about the women now, if they'd done their job.
hey, what
That's
do you
a hot take, David.
you keep talking about the femininity.
It's your mom.
You understand it's not a real one, right? Yeah. No, I don't think. I think if you had to run, if you had to, how about this? How about better yet? We will have a group of women who gladly volunteer to review this crap,
no.
and they can do it.
Paid. They're getting paid.
Fine. We will have paid.
We're done with unpaid work done by women.
We will have angry women paid to review the ramblings of all the 18 to 28-year-old male before they post anything, and before it can be posted, before the send button even pops up, they have to approve it with whatever corrections. Fine, we can do that. Is that a good prescription? Does that work for you, Allison?
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It would be a lot
You
of
could
money.
just click.
Well,
No,
the goal
no.
eventually they would figure out to just stop rage posting garbage.
Which makes me think we have to bring Allison back and we have to talk about the reality of women in modern professional worlds and how they are greater than 50% at this point. There's not enough time and my tolerance for bourbon is not high enough.
Yeah, we're good at this point. We've come to the conclusion of this episode. Allison, thank you so much for being here. Anybody who's bothered to stick around and listen, thank you so much to our tens of listeners. Smash that subscribe, hit like, do whatever the social media platform asks you to do. Whatever your podcasting platform is looking for, go ahead and subscribe there. As far as our newsletter, go to our website, sign up. And if you have any comments to add, if you're like Allison, you can just text us with all the grievances until we finally agree to let you come on the show. We can give you a platform.
Yeah. Oh, is that how we're saying it happened now? Not that you were begging me to come on the show?
We begged. We did. We begged Allison.
begged.
We invited
begged.
this. We will go lick our wounds. We will bandage up. We'll be ready for the next show. And thank you, Allison. And until next time, we are looking forward to another one in the future. Hopefully soon.
Thank you, Allison.
Go listen to the next one and make a list of all the shit we got wrong so we can correct it. We'll have it posted here soon. And cue up the music, and we are
Play the music, buddy.
out.